Clayton Buddy Giggy, Roger Drew, and Milford Downer remained friends after graduation from Freedom Academy in rural Maine. Laurel Drew, Roger Drew's uncle, would often accompany them on recreational outings. They sometimes took to the air in a vintage 1946 Stinson Voyager, flying to scenic spots across Maine and enjoying the beauty of the landscape. Laurel, Roger, Buddy, and Milford planned a joyride on Labor Day that would change their lives and their families forever. Labor Day of 1965 was a picture-perfect day in Maine. Clear skies, warm temperatures, and ideal conditions for a scenic flight. On the morning of September 6th, Laurel, Roger, Milford, and Buddy set out to enjoy the views from the sky. They departed from an airport in Belfast, Maine, late in the morning, eager to take in the beauty of Maine, with its stunning backdrop of Penobscot Bay. However, what began as a pleasant excursion soon turned into a harrowing fight for survival. As the small aircraft soared over Penobscot Bay, a sudden sharp sound echoed through the cabin, a snap like a rifle shot, followed by turbulence. The source of the noise was unknown to the passengers at first, but it soon became evident that the plane was in serious trouble. The fabric covering of the fuselage had begun peeling away, compromising the integrity of the aircraft. Altitude was quickly being lost. Realizing the dire situation, the pilot made the crucial decision to slow the plane and search for a safe landing spot. The goal was to clear the treetops and find an open field in the town of Castine, where they could bring the plane down without catastrophe. Unfortunately, their descent was treacherous. The plane clipped the tops of trees, then struck power lines that pulled them down further, sending the aircraft into a crash landing in a field that the pilot and crew located while still in the air. The impact was severe. The plane hit nose first and flipped upside down. The FAA documented that the impact was so extreme that the engine was driven back into the fuselage. Milford had been the first to escape the mangled aircraft, but he was disoriented. Laurel recalled the terrifying moments after the crash. He noticed gasoline dripping inside the wreckage and saw fuel pooling on the ground. He looked at Buddy and believed he was dead. Despite his injuries and fearing explosion, he tried to help Buddy, who had been hanging upside down in his seatbelt. Laurel struggled, but managed to unbuckle him. Harry Simpson witnessed the crash and made phone calls. Meanwhile, help arrived in the form of Pearl Coulson and Frank Ware, who lived nearby. They heard cries for help. There was a concern about the threat of electrocution. Dodging wires, they rushed to the scene and aided in pulling Laurel, Buddy, and Roger away from the wreckage just in time. Moments later, wing tanks erupted and the plane was engulfed in flames, leaving nothing but charred remains. Despite the fire consuming the aircraft, Buddy, whose right arm was broken in multiple places, later stated that he did not recall anything after the sound of trees scraping the plane, nor does he recall the plane burning. A photograph taken at the crash site and during the rescue showed him holding his injured arm in the air, unaware of the full extent of his injuries. Shortly thereafter, Buddy lay in the ambulance. A nurse worked to cut his pant legs to assess his condition. Roger turned to Buddy and asked how he was doing. Buddy's response was grim. He didn't think he was going to make it. Roger and Laurel were admitted to the hospital. Both suffered chest and leg injuries and were listed in satisfactory condition. Laurel was put in a body cast. Downer was treated for minor injuries and released. Buddy endured multiple surgeries and 3 hospital stays, the first being in intensive care for 3 weeks. His right arm now has metal bolts in it. He also suffered head, hip, and chest injuries, and both legs were broken. The left leg remained stiff for the rest of his life. Buddy's wife, Punky, along with family and friends, helped manage the farm and supported Buddy throughout his recovery. An 8th grader by the name of Lynn Johnson from New Sweden wrote a letter to the editor and stated that Maine owes Mr. Coulson and Mr. Ware a great deal of gratitude. Both Castine residents are surely good Samaritans. It should give all of us a feeling of confidence to know that Maine people will get involved for the welfare of their neighbors. The crash was a tragic yet miraculous story of heroism and survival. All 4 men lived to tell the tale. However, over the years, Roger, Milford, and Laurel passed away. Buddy is still with us, carrying the memories and scars of that fateful day, but he never hesitates in sharing the events of the crash and the heroes who saved their lives just in time. Remarkably, about 40 years later, Mike, the second son of Buddy and Punky, was working on a job in Castine. While on the job, he began telling a local resident about the crash. To his astonishment, the local said he had the propeller from the crash. The man generously gave the propeller to Mike, who now has it stored in the Montville farmstead, an unforgettable ending to a captivating account of a plane crash and heroism that made headlines 60 years ago, in 1965.